Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time visiting me. Today we're doing a VR, that is a video response to Logan over at Lark and Legend, as well as Peekaboo Rose, Julie, and Tegan over at Cosmic Creeper, because Logan had Julie and Tegan on their channel and did such a fun video. I will link it in the cards and in the description box down below. But essentially, I think this is like the second one like this they've done, maybe more. But what Logan did is invited them on the channel, Julie and Tegan, and then gave them prompts, and they had to, on the fly, grab decks that matched that prompt. And it is so fun to watch. If you've never seen them do this, you have to go watch. It is the best thing ever, and it's all timed. I didn't do that to myself because my channel, my rules, I just did it my way. But I don't know how they did it that fast, because I feel like I sat with these prompts for like a minute. But anyways, we're doing the Twilight Tarot tag. So these prompts were all made by Logan based on quotes from the Twilight movies. And y'all, I have a confession. If you didn't already know, I love the Twilight movies, and I loved the Twilight books, and I've read them multiple times, and I've seen the movies multiple times. And listen, I know it's terrible, but I love them. I don't know why, I just do. But like, the characters are so problematic. It's like, the story is problematic. It's problematic, but I do kind of love it. So I was all about this one, and I had to participate. So we're gonna jump into the prompts right now. Prompt number 1, the quote is, "Bella, where the hell have you been, Loca?" Jacob asked her that. It was so cute. Anyways, so this is a deck you've neglected of late, and I have 2, but they're kind of the same, but they're also kind of not the same. And the ones I grabbed for this prompt are the Mystic Palette Tarot. I have 2 different editions. I haven't even given them bags yet, which is not a great sign, but I don't know yet. I love them both. And I think part of my issue is that I can't decide which one I like better. So I bought these. I actually bought the muted edition first. These are the mass market versions of these decks. I bought the muted edition first and really love it. But then I was like, but I'm a bright color girl. So then I got the color edition because I'm like, well, maybe I'll like the color edition even more. And to top it all off, the muted edition is matte and the color edition is glossy. And now I've got 2 problems because I like matte and I like glossy, but for different reasons. Oh God, they're both so pretty. But I don't feel like I need both. So I'm in this weird conundrum where I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, but I mean, gosh, I was so attracted to the muted edition when it came out because I was like, for this, Ciro Marchetti's decks are so freaking beautiful, but his decks have a look about them. And I loved the matte one because it felt like it broke from the tradition of that look. For some reason, these do not feel like they're the same thickness. And I bet you it's because, I probably talked about this in a video already, I bet this one has a matte lamination on it. It kind of feels like it does. And these have a glossy coating. And so that changes the thickness of the cards because I think they're the same cardstock or very similar. Anyways, it's not the point of this video. Both of these decks are gigantic, by the way. They're huge. I need a standard tarot size deck. I should have my own handy, but it's in the living room right now. Let me just grab the True Side Oracle because I have that handy right now. So yeah, they're ginormous, which I also kind of love because I'm weird like that. So yeah, anyway, I don't know what to do about these. Like, the glossy version is like so freaking pretty. I think it's possible that the muted version is a fantasy self thing. It's so gorgeous, but I just love color. This is just who I am. I just really love color. So I actually think I prefer, looking at it right now, I think I prefer the color version. And I think if I were to just make that freaking decision, then I would actually start to use it because I wouldn't be waiting to make that decision. I also see them, now that I'm seeing them side by side, the art here almost has, and I think this is just the way that the art is done intentionally, but it almost has a slightly grainy quality to it. Like, look at this blue in the cup suit. I mean, it's just everything. Oh, the colors are so rich and gorgeous and vibrant, but this is so like antiqued and beautiful looking, but I think I like the color. This is not supposed to be a this or that. It's just that I'm struggling. So I thought I'd bring you along for the struggle. Anyways, this is why I have a hard time doing things quickly because I just keep going down the rabbit hole. But like, if you have been torn, or if you yourself made the decision between one of these decks, please let me know down below which you chose and what was your tipping point. I think I just love color. I think that's my issue. Oh, this reminds me of the squirrel in Baldur's Gate 3 because I'm a nerd. Anyways, I really love the color version. I really love the color version. There's something so soft about this one, but there's something about the gloss and the pop and I feel like I'm seeing it better. I feel like it makes it easier to sort of pick out the symbols and see them. Weirdly, I think it's easier to pick out the astrological glyphs in the muted, but like all the other things in the card, I feel like are easier to see in the glossy. Like it's just, there's the squirrel again. Okay, we'll end on that note. Okay, anyways, so I've been neglecting these, but it's because I've been in basically analysis paralysis trying to figure out which freaking version is going to be for me. And until I figure that out, I didn't want to use either one of them. So they've been sort of sitting, but I think it needs to be the color version. I really love this. I really love this. Oh, these are all the cards we saw already, aren't they? Like, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. So yeah, I think it's going to be this one. And even though it's big, the cardstock is quite flexy because, of course, it's Llewellyn. So it shuffles really easily, I feel. And I think I need that. Actually, I just realized with the muted, it's a little bit more matte, which means it's going to be just a little clumpier when you shuffle, which when it's a bigger deck, I think it's going to be this one. Not me doing an impromptu this or that in the middle of this video. I think, in fact, oh, there's the book. Plus, the color version comes with the full-size guidebook, which is written by Lee Burstyn. It's like a thinner, it's like a more compact guidebook. It's not one of those super giant Llewellyn ones, so it's pretty lightweight. But yeah, I think I'm gonna, on the fly, I'm gonna let that one go. I'm gonna just stick with the color. Maybe then I'll start to use it more. The next prompt, I'm so sorry that took 8 million years, but the next prompt is, this is the skin of a killer, Bella. Edward said that to Bella when she's like, you're so sparkly and pretty. So this is a deck with bling or some sort of flashy art. And I think one of my blingiest, like, sparkliest decks, I'm probably going to be wrong, but like this is one of my fanciest, sparklingest decks, is the Mythical Creatures Tarot. Oh my gosh, on the last episode of Glitter and Gators, at least at the time I'm filming this, the last episode, our September episode of Glitter and Gators, Danny pulled this for a luxurious deck, and she pulled this version and she showed the original monochromatic version, and I really kind of love that version also. But this has that lovely cold foil stamping, but it's like, it feels so ornate. I think I said ornate, but I meant ornate. It feels very ornate and pretty and sparkly, but in this like delicate, lovely way. I feel like of the decks that I feel like I have for their beauty, this is top of the list. Like, there's not very many decks that I keep just because they're freaking beautiful, and this is definitely one of them. It's really pretty. And I don't know that the camera picks it up, but this is that slightly softer cold foil stamping. They did it on this deck. Oh, I love this unicorn so much. They did it on this deck. They did it on the Alice deck, my version of the Alice deck, which I think is the 2nd edition, question mark. In other decks, they have been more, there's like heavier handed with the cold foiling. I don't know how else to describe it. But this one just has this delicate, soft prettiness to the foiling that is just, it makes me happy. And there's just so much detail. Anyway, this is very, very pretty. Definitely has some bling. Definitely has some flashy art. I feel like it's probably, bling might not be the best way to describe it, but for some subtle sparkles, some pretty Edward sparkles, I feel like this works really well. Because when it catches the light, it just shimmers really lovely. Other blingy decks, the Fortuna Tarot is pretty blingy with all of its silver hollow foil. I have the Amethyst Aura edition. It's really lovely. But yeah, so love the Mythical Creatures Tarot. The next quote is, hold on tight, Spider-Man. This is when Edward like strapped Bella on and like started winging around the trees. It was so cool. Anyways, a deck that has carried you through tough times. I didn't even hesitate. This one I could have grabbed in a second. And it is the Heart Align. Oh, sorry. Align Heart. Poor Kim. She's, every time I talk about this deck, I always say it backwards. But it is Align Heart Affirmation Oracle. And this is the 1st edition. Now, she's since done a new edition of this that I believe is called the Fine Lines edition. And admittedly, it is easier to see because the letters are a dark, so they're higher contrast. I should probably scoop that up at some point, but I do love these pastel colors. I don't know. Anyway, this is really lovely. The design idea for this was really great. See these like hollow hearts on here? It's like a hollow sort of spot gloss, like a rainbowy spot gloss. And the idea is it's almost like a worry stone. Like you can put your hand or put your thumb on that heart to kind of absorb the message. It's affirmations, but it's not sickeningly sweet affirmations. Like, I forgive myself for the mistakes I've made and allow myself to ask for support when I need it. It's like really healthy affirmations, and they acknowledge difficulty, they acknowledge pain, they acknowledge being in a sticky place. I love this You Are Safe card so much. I feel like every time I hold this deck, I like start to breathe deeper. it has this calming effect on me, because when I was going through some of the most intense heartache and stress I've ever been through, this was literally the deck that I carried around with me everywhere I went. I mean, and I'm not being sarcastic, or what do you call it? I'm not being figurative. Like, literally, when I left my bedroom, this came with me to the living room. When I went to work, this was in my work bag. When I went anywhere, this deck was with me at all times. And every time I needed to just breathe for a second and just settle, I would pull a card. And it was so incredibly helpful, because I didn't get hit with any toxic positivity. I didn't get hit with any, like, it's going to be fine. It was just like, I let go of resentment and hatred by releasing the need to punish myself and others. I allow myself to take up space and fully exist as I am. I allow myself to be safe and happy. I strive to see myself fully and understand myself more deeply. I motivate myself to push through any discomfort in the pursuit of expansion and growth. You survived. I mean, there's just so much good stuff in here. This is a deck that I think is constantly slept on, and I've had so many affirmation type decks come and go in my collection. This one exceeds them all 1,000%. It's not even in the same freaking league. So if you're looking for something just straight up supportive, I honor my wound by leaning into its pain and recognizing the role it's played in my becoming. Are you freaking kidding me? There's so much wisdom and magic in this. It is, if you want it feels, I'm not going to say that it is, because I don't know, Kimberly's education, but I will say it feels trauma informed. It feels like something my therapist would hand to me. I may feel damaged and broken, but I know in my heart that I am whole and worthy of love. Are you, like, this is what I mean. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. It has never let me down, and it always seems to give me the message I need, and it lives at the present time in my little bedtime basket, because I will often pull a card from this deck in addition to whatever my other bedtime decks are before bed, especially if I'm feeling anxious or troubled. It is incredible. It is by far and above my favorite thing that Kimberly has ever created. And I feel like it just came from a really genuine, authentic place. And I feel like I'm selling it to you now. But I'm just saying it's really, really good. And I love it. And it definitely has gotten me through so many difficult times. But probably, arguably, one of the most difficult times it got me through. And so it definitely has earned its place. Okay, next up, Original Renesmee. A deck that's hard on the eyes, but you love anyway, or is unnerving. Okay, listen. I never really found Renesmee that creepy. I think I have a low threshold, or no, a high threshold for creepy. I just do. But a lot of people found Renesmee Renesmee was Edward and Bella's child. You meet Renesmee in the last 2 movies or books or whatever. But in the movies, I just thought she was pretty and magical. And that's just how it is. That's just how it is. But anyways, the prompt is a deck that's hard on the eyes, but you love anyway, or is unnerving and you love anyways. And I picked the Nicoletta Giaccoli decks, because I do think these decks are, or can be, unnerving for a lot of people. And I feel like they should be unnerving for me, but they just really aren't at all. I love them with my whole heart. And ironically, they are also kind of creepy doll children. So like, I feel like it kind of fits the prompt extra, extra well. I have the Oracle and the Tarot. We were talking about this deck in the September Glitter and Gators also. And somebody mentioned that they heard that the Nicoletta Giaccoli Tarot is going out of print. Several people corroborated that. I have not personally corroborated it, but I wonder if the Tarot is going out of print, if that means the Oracle will as well. Now, what I did, because the Oracle it's a low scarabeo, so there's no words on the card. There's just a number that you can look up in the book. But what I did is I went through the book and I studied the deck. And based on my own intuition combined with whatever I read in the book, I assigned 2 keywords that I wrote in a pink metallic Sharpie on the bottom of the card. I don't know if you can see it on this one, but this one is the passivity and abdication card. In the case, I tried to kind of have a word that leaned more neutral or positive, and then a word that leaned more negative. So for example, being passive can be a positive or neutral trait, but abdicating your responsibility is more negative. So that's what I did for that card. Here I have trust, but I also have naivete. Here I have rest and escape. So that can be rest and escapism or avoidance, right? Here I have adventure, but also impulsivity. Here I have support, but also strings attached, right? We're nurturing, but also we could have expectations for what we get in return. Anyways, here I have leadership and micromanager, and so forth and so on. So I did that through the entire deck, but I read the guidebook and really took in those messages as well. Here we have unexpected and assumptions. Anyways, makes more sense when you get into the guidebook, but I really, really love the way that I modified that. And the Nicola de Ciccoli Tarot is just wonderful. It is, yes, it's kind of creepy doll look in the artwork, but I absolutely am obsessed with this artwork. I think it really brings together supposed or apparent, what looks apparent to be niceness or sweetness or innocence, and then you see the layers of corruption around that innocence. And that is really wonderful, I find, for reading on questions around things like trauma. For myself personally, so far I don't think I've ever used this deck for anybody else, but I do this a lot around toxicity and trauma and unpacking stuff and dealing with, like, you know, my own struggle sometimes to see things as they are and people as they are and not just as I want them to be. So this is kind of like a very Page of Cups shadow work deck almost, if that makes any sense. That's kind of how I use this. It sort of helps me navigate my sort of Page of Cupsy tendency to want to see only the best, what I want to believe about things or people, and this encourages me to go deeper and to see what's really going on, even when it's uncomfortable. So really, really powerful deck, but it can be very unnerving, so I think it makes a great answer to this prompt. So that is the Nicola de Ciccoli Tarot and the Ciccoli Oracle. Fits this prompt just beautifully, I think. I love that they're in matching bags and they hang as a duo on my duos rack. The next prompt is, every second I'm with you is about restraint. You are too fragile. This is a deck you're afraid to use because it's flimsy. I don't know that flimsy is the word I would associate with the La Corte de Tarocchi. I keep this deck, but I am afraid to use it. I never use it. Because if I were to treat this deck like I treat my other decks, I would wreck it. Like, I can't riffle it. It's not evenly cut because it's all hand cut. You see that jaggedness? So I can kind of, oh, what have I done? What have I done here? Some of the cards are upside down. Are they all upside down? Oh, that's my numbered card. That's why. Okay, hold on. It's my little certificate card. It makes the most lovely sound. And it feels so fancy. But I legit never use it because I can only, like, sort of delicately hand over hand it, first of all. I can't riffle it. I can kind of, if I'm really careful, no, not even in the full piles. I can kind of drop it and then slide it together, but not really. It doesn't even feel like a deck I can use, but I have had a really hard time letting it go. I've managed to keep it despite the fact that I feel like I can't use it, despite its awkward shape, because it's kind of quirky and it's kind of interesting and it makes me feel like a real life grown-up tarot reader in some kind of weird way because it's one of these Il Meneghello decks, but it's still kind of like cartoony and cute. I don't know. Like, the paper or the cardstock that it's printed on makes it feel like some old ancient thing, and it makes me feel fancy, but I don't use it. I don't use it. And so it's one of those things that I've sort of collected just to collect. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to truly part with it, but I never use it. I never use it. Not ever. I think I've read with it like twice, and I've had it for years, but I just think I like it because there's something so satisfying about the tactile experience of flipping through the cards. Like this right here, I love this. I do love this moon card quite a bit. But like, this is part fantasy self and part just, it feels like a fancy thing that I own. And that feels indulgent in a weird way. This deck kind of goes in and out of print. I don't think it really goes out of print, but I think they just print it in small batches or something. I don't know. Is it, can you still get this? Somebody let me know. I want to love it more than I do, or I want to use it more than I do, but like, really it's just a thing that I pull out, I talk about it in a video, or I like look at it while I'm sitting on my bed and I flip through the cards like I just did, and then I put it away again and lament the fact that I will never reach for it because I, A, am afraid of wrecking it because it feels like I can't use like regular cardstock, and B, it just, I don't know. Maybe it's not really me at the end of the day. I don't know. I'm going to just stick it on top of the Mystic Palette. Maybe I just need to finally pull the plug and let that go, or at least put it into purgatory. But I did that before, and then I pulled it back out because it's just a pretty thing. I don't know. I can't decide. Anyways, this is not a declutter. Focus, Lisa. The next prompt is, you nicknamed my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster? Bella flipping out because they started calling Renesmee Ness or Nessie. I can't remember what they called her. Anyways, this is a deck with an unusual or unfortunate name. And the deck I picked for this might be surprising, but I picked the Good Karma Tarot. Because listen, I don't think that name did this deck any favors at all, because this is a really great inexpensive, mass market deck. It's super fun. It's modern if you like that. It's a great reader, has great diversity, shows all kinds of people, really super clever with like the way that symbols work their way into these cards through tattoos and such. Like, look at this Page of Wands, experimenting in the kitchen and pots are bubbling over. It is perfection. And like oftentimes, like I said, if people have tattoos, there's like some important symbol is coming through. This is such a fun, clever deck. If you like decks like the This Might Hurt Tarot, or if you generally like modern, relatable decks, this one's so freaking good. Why call it the Good Karma Tarot? And I get there's a purpose. Like, I think that the point in the guidebook is that they try to have a little, here's how you can look at this card in a positive way, which is good karma. That's not what good karma is, first of all. That's not what good karma is. It's kind of like being a good human and like, you know, as a result, growing and being the best you can be, you ultimately earn good karma, right? Like, I'm just saying, like, it was an unfortunate choice because I think this deck gets overlooked. I don't even know if this is still in print. I hope it is, but it was inexpensive. The guidebook, when it talks about the meanings of the cards, is actually really, really good. There's a 9 of Cups that is not just a dude with a bunch of wine. Thank you, everything, for that. It's wonderful. It is such a good reader. I freaking love this Temperance card with every part of my heart and soul. I love this deck. I love it. I think it's a really great beginner deck. It's so good. But then people see something like Good Karma and they don't really understand what it's about. And I think that's unfortunate. I think it should have had a different name. I don't know what. Everyday Modern People deck. I don't know. Something more clear about what it was all about. Because I think, look at this Moon card. It's such a great little deck. I love the glossy cardstock. Look at this Ten of Cups. It's so good. Fresh take. Look at the Devil. It's good. It's really good. And I just think that it just gets overlooked because of its name. So I'm going to say that this was an unfortunate name pick for this one. But that is the Good Karma Tarot for my unfortunately named deck. Okay, the next prompt. The fetus isn't good for Bella. This is a deck with an ugly baby on at least one card, or a deck with the ugliest baby you've ever seen. Okay, listen. Here's another situation where I feel like I don't fall in with the masses. I actually kind of think the Rider-Waite-Smith baby's sort of cute. I don't know if that child has grown on me over time or what. Plus, I love seeing a child in the Sun card. And I also think most babies are cute, even when they're kind of not. I kind of think they're all cute. But I happened to be, the week that I was working on writing down what I was going to do for prompts for this video, I happened to be working with the Bohemian Gothic Tarot, which has grown on me. When I first got this, I was like really not sure, but this really super grew on me. Anyway, as I was working with this deck, I kept coming across one creepy child after another, and I was like, okay, I guess I kind of get it. And I pulled the cards out. I already separated them so that you wouldn't have to sit here while I find them. Now, this deck is chock full of creepy children. Like, arguably all of the children in this deck are creepy, so I just pulled the ones that were most like babies that were super creepy. So here we have the child on the sun, and okay, I can get it. This particular child looks like it's probably like a vampire and evil as hell. So, okay, I can go with creepy baby. I'm gonna have to go with creepy baby and not like ugly baby, because even this kid, like, you look creepy, dude, but like, you don't look ugly. I don't know. I can't go to ugly in my brain when it comes to like babies and children. It's the biological clock is something, or my desire to be a grandma. I'm like, all babies are cute babies. Anyways, but then there's this child, which looks like it has an adult head and like little hands that don't look like it belongs to it. Like, it looks like an old man with baby hands or something. Like, this baby is very creepy looking to me. So like, I feel like that qualifies. Both of these children are creepy, but the little baby looks kind of extra creepy in this card. What is this? The Five of Pentacles. And then in the Eight of Pentacles, I don't even know if that's supposed to be a doll. My dog is coughing. I don't know if that's supposed to be a doll or a baby, but if that's a baby, that's a very, very creepy baby. For sure. For sure. That's giving Renesmee vibes from what people describe as far as seeing her as creepy. I think Renesmee is kind of cute. I mean, I don't know. I think she's kind of cute. Apparently I don't have the right threshold. But anyways, I thought Bohemian Gothic was a great pick for that prompt because, yes, there's tons and tons of creepy children in this deck overall. It is fabulous. I love it. Okay, and that brings us to our last prompt, which is You Imprinted on My Daughter. This is a deck that was love at first sight, and this is easy peasy. And nobody's going to be surprised, but I haven't shown it in a tag in a while, so I'm going to give myself this one. It's the Mons Tarot. There's so many reasons why I fell in love with this at first sight, and there's other decks that I had this reaction to, but this was the first. My channel was still itty bitty baby, and someone sent this to me, and literally just made my whole damn day. This is my first edition because it is my first love. It is the one that I specifically held in my hands and had that reaction to. I actually keep a crystal. I don't do this with any other deck, but I keep this crystal. This is actually called, what's it called? Atlanticite, I think. And it just seems like the monster stone. So this is my Mons Tarot crystal. And this particular version, this first edition of the Mons Tarot is the version, this particular version, Peggy actually embroidered me a bag with the logo on it. This particular version hangs by that in this bag from a hook near my bed. So it's always handy. And it has this like slightly softer blue core cardstock that Joanna did for the first edition, and I just love it. This is my first love. It's seen the most use, and it was special to me because, first of all, I was always going to be a little bit biased towards this deck because it was the first deck that somebody just like, it was out of print at the time. I think I had done a video about decks that like I wish I had purchased, or like top things on my wish list or something like that. And I had been looking at this deck. It had been going in and out of my cart, and I think on Etsy. And then it went out of print and I had regrets. I think I was talking about that in a video, and then it wasn't long after a box showed up and it was this deck. And I had such a reaction. I'm sure the video is somewhere on my channel, like near the beginning. It was a whole moment. And so that was part of the experience. But I'm charmed by the colors. I'm charmed by the way that I feel like most of these characters don't feel like they have much in the way of a discernible gender. So it feels like just, it could be anybody. There's cards that, you know, clothing wise, you could make assumptions, but like, it's not so in your face. It's not so obvious. And I kind of loved that about it. I have 3 copies of this deck. This is the first, this is my first love. And it is my favorite bonus card. And let me see if I can find it. It's called the Illuminator. Yeah. My favorite bonus card. I actually have this in a print, and I also have it in a metallic card as well. And I love it. I love it. Like literally a metal card, which is around here somewhere. It's on display. I'm just looking for the right shelf. Ah, here it is. Yeah, I have a full print in a frame up on a shelf, and then I also have this metal version of this card. I love this card so much. So this is the first edition Illuminator. This is literally a signed metal card, which I absolutely love. But anyway, so this is my favorite. I also have the travel edition, and then I also have a second edition that is on a thicker, stiffer cardstock and has a different back. This one has the black and white backs. Mine are kind of yellowed at the edges from use, but my second edition has been trimmed. I trimmed the borders off the bottom. So it's the same formatting, right? Where you have the artwork and then a banner. I trimmed the banners off. So it's fully borderless, and then I rounded the corners. And I love that version. It's kind of like a medium size. So this is like my largest. And then the second edition is like medium size and borderless. And then I have the travel edition, which is literally right next to me here. Like I literally have them all within reach. Like they're never like tucked away. Look at this. I can just show you. That was my first edition. And just in case you haven't seen it, this is my second edition. So I modified this one. I trimmed it. I edged it in shades of blues. So it's fully borderless. But the bonus card for this one was different. Let me see if I can find it. It was a similar concept, but a different piece of art for the bonus card in this one. I'm going to just end up missing it. And the cards for this one are just slightly less, they're a little bit less bendy. They're still bendy, but they're like a little bit less bendy, different cardstock. And they feel well, I guess they're probably about the same finish. I want to find the bonus card so I can show you the difference. There she is. So it's almost like the feminine counterpart to the Illuminator. Similar idea, you can see, but it's not the same. Anyway, so that's my second edition that I have trimmed, borderless. So this is the one that I'll either reach for this one or my travel for clients usually. When I trimmed it, it did mess up the backs a little, but I don't mind. And then my travel edition, which I kept as is. I didn't edge it, but it's a perfect size. See, there's the Illuminary again, or the Luminary. But this is great for larger spreads. So if I'm doing a client reading of more than just a couple of cards, I'll typically reach for this one because it fits so beautifully on the table. This is actually a really great size. I actually wonder, hold on. Is this the size? Okay, sorry. This is the Pipsqueak Tarot. Oh, these are kind of similar. The Pipsqueak is narrower, but they're kind of close. They're kind of close. I love this size. It's like, these are kind of in the ballpark of the size of Peggy's Sassy Dragons Tarot that's going to be coming out to Kickstarter someday. I don't know if it's going to be out on Kickstarter by the time you see this video or not, but it's coming at some point. But it's going to be that slightly smaller than tarot size. Anyway, I love this size. It's shuffleable, but it's still big enough to feel like it's still tarot. It's not like a tiny little one. But yeah, so those are my 3 Monsteros. This lives on the shelf in front of me, like with my modified Little Bug Oracle. So these are like a matched set. They live together just like that on my shelf. Oops. And only a couple things live on my shelf. My last Unicorn Tarot, my book Unlocking the Tarot lives on that shelf, and my Monstero and my little Mystics Magical Journey children's book lives there. But yeah, this first edition lives by my bed permanently, and it just hangs there almost like decor on a little hook by my bed. And this one lives in my little basket of minis. I know you guys probably didn't need that much information about Monstero, but listen, any excuse to talk about the deck that I've called my soul deck for literally years is all right with me. All right, y'all. That is it. Those are my answers to the hashtag Twilight Tarot. Please do check out Logan over at Larkin Legends original video. You will find that linked in the description box down below. Logan, thank you for these fabulous Twilight prompts and quotes. I appreciate you so, so much. This was super fun to do. As always, I appreciate all of you very, very much, but with an extra big thank you going out to my Unicorn Fam channel members. Thank you so much for supporting my work here on YouTube and elsewhere in the tarot world. I appreciate you so very, very much. If you enjoy content like this, if you want to see more tarot divination, etc., please do subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Until then, may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye!